Good morning, everyone. I'm going to ride around the world.
I'm Mick Claridge, and I'm going to ride around the world on my bike.
My son, he gave me advice at the start of this ride, and he looked at me and just said, "Dad, don't be a moron."
Let me do my animal signal to gain their respect.
How's it going, Sally?
Yeah, I'm alright, Mick. How's it going?
Worse than that bit in Lord of the Rings where they go into the top and the spider's in the tunnel. I'm just hoping there's a spider at the top of this one to kill me. Freezing.
And I failed. I moroned up the ride.
There are a few races as iconic as the Italian Grand Prix. Known for its high speeds and tight chicanes, it tests drivers' bravery and their precision. But this layout hasn't shown up for 7 years in this series. Will the extra chicane catch out some of the regulars? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 1 of the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director, Ryan Bauer, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. With the real Italian Grand Prix having taken place recently, a lot of virtual series have been hosting races at this circuit. Let's head to our track guide in case you've missed the hubbub about Monza. Welcome to Monza. This track has a major place in racing history, not just for the legendary races, names, and cars that have been here, but because it was the third purpose-built car racing circuit in the world. It's often discussed and reverenced among fans, and especially by Italians who have nicknamed it the Temple of Speed. In fact, the Ferrari fans here are so famous for their devotion that they have been dubbed the Tifosi and never fail to show up in droves. While the real world offers only 3 feasible layouts to race on due to safety, in iRacing, the inclusion of the oval and the lack of safety concerns gives it a stunning 9 versions drivers can choose from. The modern GP layout is of course the most well-known with its long history of hosting the Italian Grand Prix. But the oval and combined circuits allow those who thirst for more speed to satiate that craving with its insanely high banking. Indeed, incredible velocities are a staple of just about every version you can race here. Draft battles are not uncommon, no matter which car you're racing. But the inclusion of the chicanes makes using an outbraking maneuver a much more tricky way of overtaking. The circuit is notorious for drivers getting tangled up with each other while running side by side in these slow and cumbersome corners. In fact, one of the greatest dangers for drivers is the first few laps when the field is still clumped together and attempting to navigate them 2 and 3 wide. While there are other modern circuits with high-speed straights, the fact that Monza sits inside the Royal Park just north of Milan and is still tightly lined with trees heightens the sense of speed here. All in all, Monza is unmatched in its history, thrills, and great racing. its significance in motorsports history and culture is sure to be unchallenged for years. Well, DJ, it is nicknamed the Temple of Speed, and anybody that takes a look at it probably understands why pretty quickly.
Yeah, indeed they do, Joe. And despite the fact that we are running the Rettifilo chicane here, as you mentioned, the first time in about 7 years that we've done so, this is still going to be one of the fastest circuits that the Lotus 79 series visits all year long. But that doesn't mean that passing is going to necessarily be easy around here. Look for a lot of draft trains to start to develop, but the three main overtaking opportunities that we're really going to see going into Rettifilo, going into Della Rogia, and the Brave may try something down into Ascari, but outside of that, it's all going to be about being patient here and timing your overtake to perfection. You get a little bit too close to the driver in front of you, it could throw things off, and they could actually get a chance to respond to you after you've made the pass. So timing going to be of the utmost importance here today.
We'll see who can play that game, because it's definitely its own unique style of racing, that's for sure. Now, as for the championship from last season, in the end, Topi Korteniemi became the first double champion in the same season for the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series and the Grand Prix Legends Series that we host here on GSRC. Others had been simultaneous champions in the official stuff for iRacing, but here for what is essentially a private league kind of thing. Obviously, it's a lot more rare to see someone that fast. Andy T, unfortunately, had a good shot at the final round, but it was technical issues that cost him from being able to participate in the final race. And unfortunately, because he had dropped so many weeks throughout, he wasn't able to take him. And it was only by 6 points in the end. Watch out for guys like Alex Millward, who are still around this season to try and pick up the mantle, as it's been a break for a couple of the fast drivers. Gernot Friesche, maybe he can finally return to his champion status as the most winningest driver here, and has been a long time since we've seen him crowned. The rest behind it stays pretty close, especially in that battle for fifth between Reed and Pai and Josh Germany and Sanchez. Let's take a look at the Teams Championship, which sadly is going to take a bit of a break here for a bit, but we did have it for last year.
We did indeed, in a very, very close fought battle all the way until the final race there between Team Essex Lotus and Equipe Ligier Gitane. A very good battle there. Equipe Renault Elf in a little bit of an island unto themselves. Parmalat Racing Team holding off a late season charge there by Warsteiner Arrows Racing Team as well. Scuderia's Ferrari Spa-Cefic and Abelard Williams Racing rounding out the standings there. And as you say, Joe, we're not going to have those team standings for this year, but we hope to see them back in seasons yet to come.
Absolutely. Now, as for today's race, with the laps not being that long, there's going to be a fair few of them, 23, but it is going to be slightly shorter than they have in previous seasons, because they're going to be about 5 to 10 minutes shorter than what we typically have most times. Now, it is still open setup in this series, and as you heard DJ talking about, trying to find the speed around here, trying to trim out the car as best you can is going to be critical. They also don't have a spare car, so if they wind up with any sort of damage, it's probably going to hurt pretty bad, because they can't just pop into the pits and put a completely fresh car out on there. Now, they have drive-through penalties at 17 incidents and a disqualification at 25. That is a bit of a concern, because the chicanes can often catch drivers out, and there are some paved runoff spots where they'll rack them up, but it's probably more going to be a worry about the slowdown penalties from those chicanes than the incident points racking up a little bit too high around here. They are in the midst of the qualifying, and we've got, as you can see, about 4 minutes left, but Mikko Laino is currently on the provisional pole with Pauli Partanen in second, and only behind by less than 1,000th of a second.
Well, and I wouldn't be surprised if we continue to see those very, very small gaps over the course of qualifying here, Joe. Not a lot of braking zones, so not a lot of time to be able to be made up or lost here as they go. But Andreas Heinkel now jumping up to the top of the charts.
Ooh, now that's not one I expected to really be up there. Now, this is going to be highly competitive in this race. They actually have 3 splits today, and the lowest, I checked this on our way in, DJ, the lowest I rating that we see in this group is 3,300.
That is just insane, and that is about nearly double what my iRating is. So that just goes to show you here what incredible drivers these are. It's this Viekainen there with a big slide coming through Parabolica. That tells me that Kimo is running a very, very low downforce setup.
You can see we got a couple onboards here today, and that slip-up seems to have cost Kimo because he was well off his regular pace. Jukka Tolvanen improves up to 4th. Millward is not going to complete his second lap. Interesting. I just saw him bump down by Jukka into 5th, and I wanted to see if he could respond, but no such luck for the number 6, Pep Meyer. In the meantime, down the cross is going to be 13th. And did Timo Karjalainen just take the pole away? Yes, he did.
Very, very good moments there for Timo Karjalainen by about 0.2 of a second. So that is massive, massive by standards. I mean, we're normally seeing a half a tenth gap here between drivers, and Timo being able to take the pole by a full 0.2. That might as well be 3 seconds.
Yeah, that is a huge gap at a track like this. And that's one thing that we don't talk about a lot. There's not that many corners out here, DJ. It's not just that the speeds make it close out here, but the fact that, well, there's just not a lot of different places to differentiate the drivers.
Yeah, there really aren't. You're on full throttle here for about 70 to 75% of the lap. And so you really don't have all that much area to be able to make up. And it's all about those little fractional gains through these couple of chicanes. Watch for the biggest areas to be able to make up time, though, is through the areas that we just saw Timo Karjalainen go through there, through Ascari, and also through Lesmo 1 and 2. Very tricky corners that you can carry a lot of speed through if you've got a lot of commitment.
There's only a mere 6 braking events throughout the lap around here. That is how simple it is around this track. At least simple on the surface, I suppose, as the Finn, well, is going to spin it out. I guess just not enough grip on those rear tires coming off the final corner, so he doesn't necessarily need it because I don't see any drivers that are set to be quicker than him. Mosquera could try and take it, but that'd be a serious shock.
Yeah, that would be a massive, massive shock as Mosquera yet to put a time down on the board. And Joe, that's the second driver we've seen having some problems through Parabolica. Now, I think part of that is low fuel load qualifying setups, making the car very, very twitchy. But with this just as trimmed out as these cars are today, I doubt that's going to be the last incident we see through the high-speed last corner that is Parabolica.
Javier has no such troubles, and a 37.4 is only going to put him in 23rd. So yeah, that's not going to do it for him, and he doesn't have enough time for another lap. In fact, I think he's out of his laps. Barry West not going to make it around for his second, so that means that qualifying is done, and Timo Karjalainen is going to take the 2 bonus points for pole position. Andreas Henkel will start to his outside as Mikko Leino will start from 3rd. Then Pauli Partanen will be P4. Jukka Tolvanen starts from 5th today. Alex Millward only 6th out there. Used to seeing him a little bit faster. Karthik Pai will be P7. He'll be flanked by Timo Vaskalapi as Timothy Reed starts 9th, and Michael de Turk returns once again to begin from 10th.
In 11th, it's going to be Kimo Viekainen, followed by Mike Rasmus with Dylan Freckleton and Pet Meyer in row 7. Ove Trangerade there, just a few hundredths of a second over Tony Garcia with Dustin Herender and Nicholas Mukanos rounding out row 9. Timothy Vaughn will come home in 19th, followed by Christophe Dubois, who rounds out your top 20.
Brian Molitor starts in 21st, Andreas Schuster 22nd, then it's Mosquera, as we mentioned, starting P23. Heitor Sintez Galindo coming off a second championship in the Camel Series, will start from 24th. Chris Roberts will be 25th. West did get at least one lap in. He'll start from 26th, and Marc-Antoine Thibault is the only one that did not manage to set a time out on track today. You can see them lining up, and it is a little bit hot out there. Not too insanely hot, but that's going to add to the slipperiness, I think, DJ.
Yeah, it certainly is going to add to a little bit of the slipperiness. And I think the other thing to keep in mind about that is it is going to help these bias ply tires get up to speed just a little bit faster. Remember, these tires, not like normal tires, they do take for the entire race around here. So that actually could be a little bit of a boon to some of these drivers.
If you're looking at some of the paint schemes, they don't seem familiar for your favorites. As we said, there's a graphical update for these cars. iRacing has given a spit shine, and unfortunately that has taken away the paints that they had been using. As the lights are now up and the green flag is out, hopefully everybody still looks pretty after this first chicane. It's usually a real trouble zone. There's a couple that were not fast off the line. Mikko Laito was swamped there as he got overtaken by both Partanen and maybe Tolinen. 4 wide in the back, and unfortunately, as is typical here at Monza, we see drivers have a wreck in the first corner, but they manage it well. A lot of them manage to get away with it.
Yeah, it looks like there are some of the big names, though, is Marc-Antoine Taubeau and Kimmo Viekainen, two of the ones that were taken out. Also, Andreas Hunkel did not take to the grid here, so second place starting from the pits.
Checking to see who this started among, and it looks like this was, I see Michael DeTurk, Karthik Pai, and Kimmo Viekainen, so we'll try and get back to them in a little bit. Oh, as we have an off in the De La Roja chicane as well. Looks like Dustin Heroder was turned around. Not sure what happened on that. Meanwhile, this is the front of the field with Timo Karjalainen leading Pauli Partanen and Jukka Tolinen, along with Mikko Laito and Timu Vaskilampi. So top 5 are all Finns here.
And that's not surprising. We have seen a little bit of the Finnish domination from this series. Let's see if everybody's able to get their way here through Ascari nice and easy. It looks like that's going to be the first one of these chicanes that we don't have any major problems. But I am watching right now Alex Millward taking a little bit of a poke to the inside on Vaskilampi going down into Parabolica.
He gets through a second one trying to overtake Mike Rasimas in the 13. And he finds some space to overtake Vaskilampi. That's 2 positions in 1 corner for the number 9. Breaks up our Finnish dominance, but here we go. It's our first sign of what Monza has in store. Timu gets a run back on him with the slipstream, but it looks like he doesn't have the straight line speed. He definitely has the brakes as he dives it into Rettifilio.
That was very impressive there from Vaskilampi, and that's exactly what I was talking about timing of the pass there, Joe. I think Rasmus was just a little bit over-eager to get that done. If he had waited and held back through Parabolica, he could have kept that position, but he got a little bit too greedy.
Timu, thankfully, with a good enough exit that Mike's not able to re-attack there. I think we have a chance maybe to... ooh, there's a big slip up there from Mike as well. The 13 catches it and carries on. I wonder if we could get a chance to maybe try and take a look at that opening incident one more time before things start to erupt again, and see if we can maybe somehow dissect what went down there. So they're going to come down into Ascari, and Vaskilampi does get a decent run, but a little bit of defense from Millward is going to rebuff him.
And this is really going to set up one of those draft trains that we talked about here. Millward, Vaskilampi, Rasmus, and now Tony Garcia being able to pull onto the back of it and look for maybe Garcia to be able to pick a few places off here as they go down these long straightaways. He's going to get the benefit of the triple draft, but Rasmus, again, looking a little bit eager there into Parabolica.
Wants to try and get this one right back, and Millward's trying his best to shake the pair of them. Well, it looks like we're going to take a look at that replay of the start, though. So watch in the back. You'll see 4 wide. You'll see a bright yellow car on the outside. That is Karthik Pai. And unfortunately, once they got that 4 wide, there just was not enough racing space. It was literally completely interlocked wheels into there.
Yeah, it really was, and that's where, Joe, that you have some drivers, I think, with just eyes a little bit bigger than their stomachs, as one of our cone friends goes flying off into oblivion. It's getting 4 wide here at Monza. This is not the widest of tracks, and there you can see exactly what happens when you get a little bit overeager.
1 car, 2 cars getting turned around, but other than that, most everybody seems able to stay pointed forward. And there's one last look at it. And a couple of them, I think, doing the smart thing. They just abandoned it, so, swallowed the slowdown penalty and stayed out of trouble.
Yeah, just went down the escape road there, getting out of the way. I think that's a good call from them. And then this is coming down into De La Roja as well. Some big carnage there. Those big sausage curbs. I saw a car up on its lid, and you can see a car crabbing there very bad in the background.
That just tells you how tough it is around this place on the first lap because, again, this is top split and all with drivers who are definitely worth their salt and know how to race each other and have frequently. And even in spite of that, can't get away from the issues that these slow little chicanes can often elicit. Meanwhile, still watching Mike in the 13 hound Vascalampi, but they have definitely lost touch with Millward. He has shot up the road.
Yeah, about 1.8 seconds up the road from them, so that is a mega run from Alex Millward to be able to pull that ahead. That would tell me that there's a little bit squabbling going on, and indeed we see it here again. Rasmus just continuing to poke his nose to the inside of Vascalampi. I think that is bringing Vascalampi into play here a little bit more.
Yeah, this is where he needs to try and push hard and not fight as much side by side through the corners. So they're going to head towards the braking for De La Roja. Now, Sintez Galindo had a bit of an issue, and he's lost a lot of spots. He fell down to 22nd. We're very lucky this was not another big incident. Look at how many cars are racing side by side, and then suddenly gives way in front of somebody else, and thankfully nobody hit him.
And again, that is that incident coming through Parabolica. You try to carry a little bit too much speed through the beginning of the corner, and the rear end is just going to step away from you there. Although I do want to give some credit to Sintez Galindo, driving, if I'm not mistaken, an old Al Unser Jr. scheme, one of my all-time favorite IndyCar liveries.
I was just about to point that out if you didn't. Yes, again, as an early 90s kid, yeah, very much Little Al was my hero and loved seeing him race in that Valvoline car. He's trying to streak away from Dubois, and I think this is Kimo Viekainen. Oh, that's one of our front runners on his fight back through the field there. He just got by Dubois, and that puts him only into 22nd place, though.
Yeah, he's got a lot of work to do, and there's Kimo on your screen right now. He is thankfully going to be able to get the draft there of Sintez Galindo as Timo Karjalainen is able to set the fastest lap of the race, just kind of streaking away at the front of the field.
I don't know why. I know he's Finnish, and maybe that's the reason it comes to mind, but he looks like a hipster Kimi, I feel like, as he tries to chase down on Sintez Galindo for that 21st position. You're going to see the toe as we ride on board, but it's definitely not close enough.
No, you need to be within about 7 to 8 tenths of a second coming through Parabolica to really make that work. But, Joe, we got to focus back in on this battle with Vascalampi, Rasmus, and Tony Garcia. This has not really gone away. A little bit of side-by-side, though, further up the field.
Mikko Leno loses one to Millward. It's a charge through Millward, though, with a big slide coming off the second Lesmo, and he gives the spot right back. Man, that was a fantastic pass, too. It's such a shame he had to give that one away.
Yeah, it really is, and that's exactly what I talked about a little bit earlier, that momentum coming out of the Lesmos. You've got to really check your speed going down here into the first corner, but if you're able to carry as much momentum as possible, you can make it work. Very, very good there from Millward to be able to hold that around the outside. That is not an easy thing to do.
Touches the grass on his way in. That is what cost him. Just lost control of it, so back down to 5th he goes, and this puts Timo Vascalampi back within his slipstream. There you can see on the same picture now.
Yeah, on that same picture, so this is all going to come back into play here. Remember, that draft is going to be so very crucial. You'll start to feel it at about 1.2 seconds, so if you can keep within that, you'll start to feel a little bit as they go.
I love this shot with the helmet cam here that we've got from Dougie with the newly revamped car. Look how much nicer it is inside the cockpit of this machine. Just looks fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, look at the detail there on the steering wheel. You can really, really tell some of the graining and just how that visually feels. Absolutely massive credit here for iRacing for giving us this new visual update.
Really, really love what they've done with it as we come down towards the Lesmos once again. This time, Alex not able to get side by side with Mikko. You can see he is putting the pressure on enough that number 4 car was sliding wide a little bit through the first Lesmo. He's making him push hard, and we got a pair of battles forming up, it seems, as Mikko and Alex and Timo and Mike are both together.
Yeah, everybody's starting to fire off here side by side, going down into Ascari. It looks like Millward's going to be able to hold that out for now, but I don't think Lino is done with this charge.
Miko's going to try to fight back unless he has a slip-up coming out of Parabolica. Let's see what it holds for him as they come up to this 180-degree corner. Early apex into here, and then trying to really get on the throttle on your way out. Everybody testing the limit of those rear tires as they get onto the power. Meanwhile, Timothy Reed in a fight behind as well. This is with Andreas Schuster, who actually won here yesterday in the combined layout in the Camel Series.
Yes, he did. Obviously running the banking around here as it does look like we are going to get Schuster getting a nice helping of the draft. You can see there Timothy Reed trying to go a little bit defensive down to the inside. I don't know if that's going to be enough to blunt the attack going down into Rettifilio. It looks like it is for now.
So nothing doing there, but sometimes we'll see a fight back once again through Curva Grande down to Della Rosa. Here's Mike. Still working on Vascalampi. No change of position amongst these, but it looks like Miko is quick coming out of that chicane. Just can't quite get side by side. Coming into the first of the Lesmos, and I think we had an off track for Pep Meyer. I think he lost a spot.
Yeah, I believe he did as well. Looks like a couple drivers picking up just a little bit on their screen as well. But here they go as they work their way down under the old banking. No moves here coming out, going down into Ascari. But this is all about setting it up here for the long drag down the front straightaway, Joe.
And I think the drag is very good for Mike there at the back of this train. He got a fantastic launch on Vascalampi. He's going to show his nose. Does he really want to make the move, though, here? We've seen multiple drivers try and pass into the Parabolica and then regret it on the way down past the pits.
Yeah, that's exactly my point when I saw him start to poke his nose there. But look at that. It looks like Teemu Vascalampi may be playing things a little bit right. And indeed, that's going to be Vascalampi poking to the inside here of Michelino as they blast past the main straightaway. Going to be ahead here is Rasmus now going to be able to pick up any of the pieces.
Miko manages to come back on it. He's got great apex speed through the first part, and that will indeed put him ahead of Vascalampi. You could even see the Finn having to try and avoid on the way out as he was shaken by that repass. Mike says, thank you very much. Let's make this 3 wide, maybe? No, he gets boxed in.
Yeah, he's going to get boxed in there. Nowhere to go. They're going to stay 2 wide. Contact going down through Della Rosa.
And I think that was a little bit of net code as well, unfortunately. But wow, Mike is on it. He immediately capitalizes, and that's going to put the 13 car into 5th, or will it? A cut back from Mikko Lino. He goes inside of him down through the second Lesmo. Now it's a drag race, and I think we're going to get another chance for that 3 wide moment. Or is Teemu also going to be the one boxed in now? Yes, he has to sit patiently. And Michael de Turk says, you guys are having way too much fun for just 3. Let's make it 4.
Here they come, trying to see what they can do. Almost Noah's Ark there, down into Ascari. They somehow filter themselves out single file, but this battle not done yet.
Tony Garcia ended as well. It's 5 cars. They just keep stacking them up. And my goodness, these 3 have really erupted into an almighty battle out here. Down through the Parabolica once again. Mike going to be on the inside. Miko on the outside. Vascalampi trying to see if he can set up the pass on the pair of them. It'll widen up for a bit, but this is going to narrow down.
Yes, it's going to narrow down. Looks like Vascalampi trying to pick his way through there. 3 wide down into 1. It does look like Lino's going to back out of it. Now it's 3 wide, more contact. Lino off into the grass.
Oh, no, and it was a chain reaction, too. Vascalampi got into Mike. Mike got into Miko, and Miko came out the worst. Has to work his way past the little chicane on the inside on the escape road. He'll fall behind. I think, that's Karthik Pai.
Yeah, I think it is as well, so he's going to have to work to try to be able to gain back in, but it does look like Vascalampi sending a big move down to the inside there, down into Della Rosa, and that is going to be moved on Michael de Turk.
So de Turk back into 7th because of that. Vascalampi stays in 6th. Rasimus moves himself up into 5th position. This is all happening behind the leader, Karjalainen, but nothing is happening up there. It's been about a 1.5 seconds between himself and Parton, and if that closes up, we'll try and switch over there at some point in this race, but It seems like we're having plenty to keep us entertained. Back here as Vascolampi chucks it in deep and pulls away from the Turk under braking.
Yeah, he's going to have about 0.4 of a second, and that may not be enough, though. He's going to have to time this right. The one thing that is going to be helping out Vascolampi is here is he'll still be able to get a little bit of the draft from Mike Rasmus. Rasmus, meanwhile, running a little bit of a snake down on the back straightaway there, trying to break away. A little bit of a wide dive in there for Vascolampi.
Down the front stretch once again. It's going to be wheel-to-wheel between DeTurk and Garcia in the background. They're both going to get a little bit of a tow, but more so DeTurk, and that actually helps him. Ovi Trangrade in the meantime. Haven't looked at him pretty much all race. He's going to be wheel-to-wheel with Mikko Lino, and it looks like Pi and Meyer also having a little bit of a fight down into Rettifilo. They all get through single file with Meyer beating out Pi and Trangrade beating Lino.
And Joe, I don't think that's the last pass we're going to see made on Karthik Pai. There's a little bit of rear wing damage to the yellow car there as they go, so I think he's going to be suffering a little bit in the straight line.
That looks like Andreas Henkel is with them. Now, did Andreas actually start from pit lane? Yes, he did. So he was able to start the race, and this is an impressive run through the field for him to do so. Because he's now just trying to take 12th place right now, and he is going to do so over Mikko.
Yes, he is, and so that is from the very back of the pack. And let's not forget, starting from pit lane, you're going to lose a good amount of speed there as well. So plenty of problems there as they run. Looking down into the corner, a little bit defensive. We focus a little bit farther up the field as they run through Ascari.
Yeah, this is that pack that has been giving us so much fun, being led by Rasimas. And just going a little defensive this time. Not sure if that's breaking the toe or just trying to avoid anybody trying to make a late dive on him. Now they try and get the traction out of that long corner, but it's not enough for Mike. Timu's got a great run on him.
Yes, he does. He's just going to tuck up behind in the draft, poke his nose to the inside here, and now it's a straight drag race. Let's see if Vascolampi's got a little bit more overspeed. Now dives under the binders, later on the brakes, then Mike Rasmus, and that is going to be Vascolampi up to the head of this train.
And Michael DeTurk is going to maybe try and see if he could do anything with this as we ride on board with the New Yorker. Looking on the left-hand side just a little bit. Doesn't seem like a serious attempt. Rasimas does not cover after that, and neither does Michael DeTurk try and actually chuck it up the inside. So they stay in order with Vascolampi 5th, Rasimas 6th, DeTurk 7th, Garcia 8th.
Yeah, no real moves there. Little bit of a poke there behind. I think that was Henkel trying to come through a little bit on Ovi Trangrade, and indeed, there they go, working their way forward. Ovi just trying to hold that off behind. Henkel has the speed we know. Remember, he qualified all the way up in second.
So another one maybe on the cards for the number 8. No, doesn't look like it. And he's going to settle back in, maybe go for the launch coming out of Ascari. It's a pretty decent one, but looks like Trangrade's also feeling the effects of the draft from Karthik Pai just in front of him in the yellow car. There's a duck to the inside from Andreas Henkel. Now he's going to try and make the move, and that forces Ove a little bit too wide, and as he hits the painted outside part of the pavement, he slips up. That hands it over.
Yeah, that hands it over, and I'm curious here if he's going to be able to get anything on the fight back. We ride on board with Michael DeTurk right now. He's not going to be able to get a move done there on Mike Rasmus up in front of him as they dive down to the first corner. There's a little bit of the fight back, having to go defensive. There is the number 8 of Andreas Henkel, but it looks like there. Oh, did he get a slowdown?
He may have. Let me double check to see. Yeah, he cut way far to the inside of that first apex. So I think he had to give that one back. And so Ove Trangrade easily through after that one. And Andreas is going to have to redo all that work all over again.
Yes, he is. Very, very unfortunate there is Ove, not exactly the easiest driver to get on by. We've seen him duke it out many, many a time here in the series, although it looked a little bit squirrely there coming off of Lesmo 1. Let's see the run off of Lesmo 2. That's about as perfect as you can get it.
We're halfway through this race now, so it's going by quickly. As they head down towards the braking of Ascari. We hop back to Michael de Turk once again, up 3 positions from where he started. But how about Rasimas in front of him? A gain of 6 for him.
Yeah, it's a really, really good run for Mike. He's going to be very, very pleased with that. And Joe, you mentioned how we are about halfway through this race. This is where things start to get a little bit interesting. These are light Formula One cars, but they do not take fuel stops. So that means that the fuel is one of the heaviest components of the car. And so now that we're getting a little bit longer on in the race, now that that fuel is starting to wear down, these cars are going to get looser, they're going to get twitchier, and I think we're going to see a little bit more aggression here out of some of these drivers.
No doubt. We'll see who can elicit a mistake out of the other as we come through the Rettifilo chicane. So far, despite the number of incidents that we've seen, we've only lost Dylan Freckleton, Dustin Heroder, and Brian Molitor. Timothy Vaughn had to take a few repairs. He's back out on track and running last of the field. Otherwise, everybody else still going. Down through De La Roja now, no change amongst them. A little bit of a slide there from Mike in the 13 car. He'll carry on without losing too much.
Yeah, and it looks like the Turk is starting to threaten here a little bit. You can see just a little bit of the aero wash as I think the Turk kicked out a little bit farther than he would have liked to off of Lesmo 1. Although now as they come here, it looks like the gap's going to be about 2.5 tenths of a second. Watch for the Turk to try to time this right coming out of Ascari.
By the way, Hankel's not only gotten past Trangrade, but he's gotten past Pi now as well. So Andreas into the top 10 after starting from the back of the fields. There you can see them squirming on the power as they come out of the Ascari chicane. Now being led by Pep Meyer, but will that soon be replaced by Hankel, who started or should have started this race on the front row, but did not, either through technical problems or, I almost wonder, DJ, if he did that intentionally, just worried about the start of this race.
Yeah, I mean, we always talk about how that first corner here at Monza is a real flashpoint. It could have been a little bit of a heads-up play, although there we see him moving his way past Pep Meyer. Easy as you please.
Yeah, man, made that look really simple for him. Bad news for fans of Mikko Laino, who may have noticed that he's at the back of this pack. There you see him in the background now. He, unfortunately, is saying the car is, quote, toast. So I assume that is not in good condition from the touch that he had into the first chicane a few laps ago.
Yeah, and these cars can be a little bit fragile. One of the biggest things that you can really pick up around here is under tray damage. There's so much downforce that is generated in the Venturi tunnels underneath this car with the ground effect that really and truly you get just a little bit of damage on the underside and that can throw you right off.
Another view of our onboards, Pauli Partsinen with his triple screen setup, looking as calm as ever. 2 Finns showing us their webcams here today, and has basically been trying to chase down Timo up in front of him. But you can see just how far away he is. 2.4 seconds is a long distance on these long straights, and he's lost about a second since we last looked at that distance. So unless he gets a mistake out of that number 2 car, I'm not sure that he's going to be able to do much from here. In the meantime, back to Rasimas with de Turk, who is off to the left-hand side and now disappeared from the screen. He was way off there. There he is, finally back, and he's immediately going to duck into the slipstream.
That was a little bit close there from Michael, it has to be said, but he's going to try to gain a little bit more speed. I wonder if the Turk is running just a hair more downforce, trying to get a little bit more going through the corners. As here we've got a little bit of side-by-side between Karthik Pai and Ove Trangarade.
Trangrade comes out ahead. Karthik can't hold him back. Timothy Reed is now trying to get involved in the situation. Pai discovering just how hard it is to finish as high up as he usually does, even when it's 2 splits. When it's 3 splits, as he goes defensive on Timothy Reed. Reed decides against trying to force the issue. But we're used to seeing Karthik being Mr. Consistency and just racking up top 10s, even top 5s often. Today, he is only 12th.
Yeah, only 12th, and I really think here, Joe, that he got caught out in that sort of first lap melee that we saw. Again, just a little bit of damage to the left rear of that rear wing, and I think on a track like Monza, that little bit of extra drag massively slowing him down.
Yeah, I think you're right, and Timothy takes another little bit of a look Yeah, there is that damage. You can see it right there. And will this be enough for Timothy to try and capitalize this time, especially since it looks like Karthik's not as close to Ove to try and pull on his draft? Timothy, no, he's smarter than that. He's raced this track before. He knows it's better to wait for here out of the Parabolica, where he's going to try and set himself up.
Yeah, but it looks like he lost a little bit of time there. I think he dove into the corner just a hair too late, and now that gap is going to be about 2.5 tenths of a second. It's going to be a little bit tricky to try to get this to go here. Let's see if he decides to be brave on the binders.
There's Michael de Turk still doing what he can to try and attack, but couldn't get an overlap that time into Rettifilo. Back we go to Train Grade Pie and Reed. Yeah, still nothing doing for Reed. Heitor Sintez Galindo, who is going past, I think, a lapped car. No, that was for position. I think that was Chris Roberts letting him through. That's interesting. And then that's Javier Mascara just in front of him. Javier, despite not having the greatest of qualifyings, is up 4 positions.
Yeah, and that'll be something he can hang his hat on for sure as they now work their way through the Curva Grande right now. It does look like Sintez Galindo is certainly going to be closing in there on Mascara. Let's see if he decides to throw the move. Not looking like it.
Ooh, we're going to be side by side, though, coming down into Ascari. And it looks like Tony Garcia is not going to be able to retain Michael de Turk. Oh, no, de Turk with a little bit of netcode sends him in the barriers. Hard hit. And he tries to recover. Thankfully, just enough room on the racing line so he doesn't get plowed into by the oncoming pack. But the car crabs. That's going to be day over.
Yeah, look at that. That's almost driving at a 45-degree angle there. That is not the way you want to do it. Let's check out the replay here. Diving down into Ascari, and let's look for that dreaded netcode. Oh, that's a pretty egregious one there.
Yeah, that's one of the downsides of racing open-wheel cars in sim racing is just, unfortunately, the internet sometimes does not play as nice as you'd like it to and allow you to get as close as you think you can. In the meantime, it's gone from that battle up for 4th, 5th, 6th or thereabouts to now being mostly about the battle for 10th place. Actually, 9th place, it looks like. It'll be Train Grade at the front of this group, having earned the spot away from Michael de Turk's wreck. They break down into De La Roja. Train Grade, ooh, looking a little vulnerable. Reed with an awesome cutback.
Yeah, look at that. Just taking a big clobber of the curb there on the second part of the chicane. Not able to get enough speed built up down into Lesmo 1, but a little bit of another wide run there from Train Grade. I think he's feeling the heat here a little bit.
Yeah, Timothy Reed definitely got him on the ropes. The question is, can he actually knock him out and get past? As they come down with 7 laps to go into Ascari. He's going to wait patiently once again. I'm pretty sure from what we've seen. Oh, no, there was a big mistake from Timothy Reed. That was definitely not intentional as he cuts back. That was a late timing from Karthik Pai, who just touches the rear of the car, accidentally pushes him off course, and Timothy Reed is no longer fighting Ove Trangarade.
No, he's not. He's going to find himself all the way down in 12th place as we take a look here at the GSRC replay of exactly what went wrong. This looks like he just sort of misjudged this going into Ascari. Let's watch it. Yeah, brings the car over. You can see a little bit of a slide there, tries to catch it, bring it back on, and I think he caught maybe a little bit of that inside sausage curve, and that's what sent him out.
From that little chopper cam, it looked like he got a little bit of a touch from Karthik. But the good news is, as he spins the tires up again off screen there, just coming out of Rettifilo, he was catching up to the back of Petmeyer, but no more. Meanwhile, this is the battle between Mike Rosimus and Andreas Henkel. It's been a long slog getting back to just 7th place here. Can it be 6 for Andreas? He's running out of laps. Once he passes Mike, then he's going to have to make up almost 3 seconds to get up to Vascalampi, and Vascalampi is a full 7 seconds behind Millward. I'm not sure how many more places we're going to see this guy climb.
I can tell you one thing, Joe. It looks like he's going to climb one more there. He was all over the back of Rasmus coming out of Lesmo 2. Going to have to be later on the binders, and later he gets it done.
De Turk is officially the latest retirement now, so we are down to 23 left of our 27 starters here today. Henkel now sets his sights on Vascalampi. Unless we get a fight back from Mike, let's see what he chooses to do, what he has the grip for coming out of that curve. Nope, we're going to look behind him. This is the battle between Pye, Meyer, and Reed. So Reed getting a little bit rudely shoved off earlier, back on the back of Pep Meyer. Well, and wow, very easily by, actually.
Yeah, that looks there like Reed just able to get better bite off of the corner coming down through Parabolica and passing him like he was standing still, frankly.
Yeah, no fight back at all from Meyer. Just going to let him go. And now Karthik Pye, the Texan, going to find the likes of Timothy Reed, seeing if he could get himself back up to 10th. Ove Trangrade's kind of scampered away after they fought so hard amongst each other. So the 24 has been quite happy and comfortable. Oh, meantime, here's fight through Curva Grande once again and down into De La Roja to Bo on the outside of Mucanos, and Mucanos and the Dirty Torque Machine. Oh, I thought he was going to have it. No, he slid a little bit wide. It carries on.
It does carry on. Tabo's going to have the inside going down into Lesmo 1 and able to make it work. A little bit of a wiggle there coming off of the corner, but gets it done nonetheless, gaining that position back.
Marc-Antoine was the only driver that failed to set a lap time in qualifying. I got to wonder what would have been if he did, because he's up 13 right now.
Yeah, that is a very, very impressive run, and I've got to agree with you there. This could have been a huge day for Marc-Antoine Tabo.
Ooh, is Reed going to get Pye? I think he might. He's got the inside. Last time he had a little bit of contact there with Karthik, but this time it looks like he managed it. So Timothy Reed into 10th, but he's done it at the Parabolica. Karthik Pye, if he feels ambitious, could try and retake it into the braking for the first chicane. Let's see what it is.
He's going to think about it, but I think that rear wing damage slowing him down just enough there, Joe, and he is not going to be able to get it done. Woo, big wiggle, though, there for Timothy Reed.
We've seen a lot of that out of Reed. I'm not sure if he's just being too greedy or if he hasn't really set up the car or has he overheated the rears.
It could be a little bit of a combination of all three, Joe. Frankly, if you've got the car massively trimmed out, that's going to lead to a little bit of that twitch oversteer that you have. And when you get a lot of that twitch oversteer, that's going to be a problem, as there goes Pye fighting back into Lesmo 1, has the position.
And that wasn't a slowdown penalty. That was just Pye timing it right and got right on past him. If one thing is for sure, these two are having fun out there. Definitely swapping back and forth quite a bit. Reed's pretty close. The Ascari chicane isn't the heaviest of braking, but he's going to have the overlap down into there and the inside into the corner. The Texan does not defend, just lets him past.
Yeah, just lets him go, and I've got to think there, if you are Karthik Pye, this is just a little bit of management here at this point. You know your car's a little bit wounded, you know you're in trouble here, and you don't want to waste any time trying to fight, especially with Pep Meyer and Michelino starting to come up behind you.
Oh, both of them had a problem into the corner. Reed more so, as I think it was just about in the middle of the turn that it started to go away from him. Karthik is able to recover first. They got to watch out for Pep Meyer, who's going to be able to get a double toe off the back of them, as it's a game of chicken into the braking of the first corner. Inside going to Karthik, but he brakes earlier, and that is going to give the spot away. Maybe it's going to be side by side off the corner as well. Karthik's back at him. Great launch.
Great launch from Karthik Pye. He's going to bring that car down to the inside, pull it out and through. We ride on board here with Pep Meyer, who is sitting in the popcorn position. All of this.
And this time the inside goes to Timothy Reed once again, and he's going to be able to completely go past. Karthik is the one that spins up the tires and now is under threat from Meyer. 3 to go. That's going to be 2 to go here in just a second, as our leaders just come into the line now.
Yes, they are coming through as we speak. 2 laps to go, given by Barney the flagman here. Timo Karjalainen just dominating at the front of this field, a gap of about 2.6 seconds.
Partanen just hasn't really had much of an answer. Also worth mentioning, Jukka Tolinen, who has had a quiet third in this race. But everybody else pretty much that we've been watching has not had a quiet one at all. We expected these draft trains, and boy, have we been getting them.
Yeah, we really have, as now they start to play in here this battle back for 11th at this point. Timothy Reed, I think, is going to be able to get himself a little bit far ahead as they run. He'll be relatively okay, but I think Karthik Pai is going to be under attack here from Meyer and Lino, potentially.
Yeah, they look close, but no, they're not close enough. A little bit of a look, though, as Lino just tried to see if he could scare one of them off the racing line. Remember, Mikko is suffering from some damage on the car. Not sure if that's straight line speed or handling or both, but he has fallen well back from where he began this race in 3rd position and has basically just been trying to make the best of a bad situation.
Yeah, just trying to do what he can here. This may be a little bit of a write-off, or potentially here with the outright speed that we've seen from Mikko. Whoa! Is that Pep Meyer spinning around?
That was, unfortunately, an unforced error, that one. Just getting a little too hot on the throttle, and the car goes around. He'll fall to 17th. He was in such a good position all race, having his own great battles there in the mid-pack, but lost quite a bit. White flag is out for Timo Karjalainen. One more lap to go to kick things off with a victory in this series.
Yeah, only a couple of more corners here for Timo. He has just got to bring this thing around one more time. Remember, it does get a little bit trickier as the race goes along. Here's a view on board with Paulie Partanen running in 2nd right now. The Finnish driver just doing what he can to hold on to a good points position.
Didn't see a whole lot of him last season. 3 races that he attended, 1 at the very end, and then 2, I think rounds 2 and 3, I should say, that he showed up. But man, has he showed up today.
That was just a big slide there from him coming through the first Lesmo, Joe. That was incredible control.
Kimo, our other onboard, has managed to get back to at least 14th, but again, was much higher up earlier on. Started from 11th. Going to be a damage limitation, I think, for him out there today. The battles that we had been watching have really spread apart, which gives us, thankfully, enough time at a right time for Timo Karjalainen to get some of the screen and get some of the spotlight as the number 2 exits Parabolica and takes an opening salvo with victory at Monza.
Yes, he does. Going to cross over the line. Timo via Karjalainen, rather, your victor here today.
Partanen with a well-earned 2nd and Tolinen 3rd. It is an all-Finn podium out there today. Alex Millward going to be the next one across in the number 6. And just off the podium, but he made good on what was kind of a disappointing qualifying for him. And then Vascalampi and Hankel. Whoa, Hankel's so close to the last one, but he runs out of time. 6th is as high as he gets.
Could have maybe had a top 5 there if he'd been able to keep it together. We've got a little bit of a battle here farther back in the field, though. Sintes Galindo, Mascara, and Pep Meyer running down to the line. Count Pep Meyer out of that spin coming through Ascari.
The second one he's had, and as many laps, I believe. That's not been the greatest of showing. Coming down towards Parabolica, Sintes Galindo up 7 positions from his qualifying. Mascara up 5 in the number 21 to 18th place. And incredibly, all 23 drivers that started this, that are still running at the end of this race, are going to finish on the lead lap here. So let's take a quick break. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews, so stick around.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to ride around the world.
I'm Mick Claridge, and I'm going to ride around the world on my bike.
My son, he gave me advice at the start of this ride, and he looked at me and just said, "Dad, don't be a moron."
Let me do my animal signal to gain their respect.
How's it going, Sally? Yeah, I'm alright, Mick. How's it going? Worse than that bit in Lord of the Rings, where they go into the top and the spiders in the tunnel. I'm just hoping there's a spider at the top of this one to kill me. Freezing.
And I failed. I moroned up the ride.
Welcome back to Monza. Round one of the Sunday Grand Prix series gave us what we expected here at this fast track. A lot of passing and a lot of fun. But Timo Karjalainen didn't see much of that passing at all. Basically started this one from the pole and finished there. Once he broke the draft, they couldn't hang. Pauli Partanen finished second with Jukka Tolvanen third, making it an all-Finland sweep of the podium for this race. Alex Millward wound up the first non-Finn down there in fourth. Timo Väskälahti was P5, barely ahead of Hankel at the line, less than a tenth of a second between them. Hankel, who should have started from the front row, elected to start from the pits for whatever reason. We'll see if we can get a chat with him to find out why. But Mike Rasimus was behind him in seventh at the end. Tony Garcia, P8, was followed by Ove Tranger in ninth, and P10 went to Timothy Reed.
In 11th, it was Karthik Pai nursing that rear wing damage across the line. They're just missing out on the top 10. Mika Leino recovering to come home in P12. Marc-Antoine Thibault, your only driver not to set a time during qualifying, able to come home 13th. That'll be a good thing for him to keep his hat on. Kimmo Viekainen in 14th, followed by Nicholas Mukanos, Andreas Schuster, and Aitor Sintez Galindo in 17th. Javier Mascara was 18th, followed by Chris Roberts and Pep Meyer, rounding out your top 20.
In 21st, Barry West climbed his way up from 26. Nicely done. Christophe Dubois to 22nd as Timothy Vaughn finishes P23. Last of the finishers, everybody beyond there, unfortunately, was a DNF today. We do have our winner ready to talk to us, Timo Karjalainen. Let's see what much interesting stuff he has to say about that race, because Timo looked like it was just clear skies in front of you.
Oh, yeah. It was so easy, you can't believe it. No, it wasn't.
Well, obviously, the big key here is usually to try and break the draft. Eventually, it seems like you were able to shake Pauli. Once you were able to do that, did it feel like job done?
No, definitely not. I pushed pretty much as hard as I can. Maybe I left 1/10 extra just to not ruin my race by taking too much risk in T1 on the slow down curve. But definitely didn't feel easy at all. Maybe once Pauli made a few mistakes later on in the race, it felt like I had it, you know.
I can understand that. Now, I know it doesn't necessarily relate to the speed, but the shiny new paint job that iRacing has given to the graphics here on the Lotus 79s. Are you pretty excited about what they've done to try and make this old girl look just as new?
Oh, I'm beyond grateful. If anyone from iRacing that has worked on this approved of this, I want to give a huge thank you to us. This is a series we don't ever want to be forgotten in iRacing. It is so good, and I wish more people did it. We had 80 people registered today, which is just mind-blowing for me. And I hope some of them, majority of them, stay in the series because the car is so good, and it even looks like it has round tires. That's
That's been the ongoing joke for those that aren't aware that the old tires were just a little bit clunky in this car visually. But yeah, I agree. It's been so cool to see the uptick in participation that this has brought as well. Sometimes I guess looks do matter a little bit for some people. But again, congratulations on the win, and we can't wait to see you when we're back at Fuji.
Thank you. I just want to give a little shout out to Michael for working on our paint yesterday night. It was possible because of him to run this paint, and it looks pretty good on that top step, I gotta say.
I think so too. That was Timo Karjalainen, your winner here today. And then up next, DJ has caught up with Pauli Partanen, who just couldn't keep the pace up.
I have indeed, Paulie, able to get through some of the first lap calamity there, but keeping it close behind in second for the majority of the race, but looked a little bit like a boring race for you.
Yeah, it was a bit boring, but you know, I was pushing every lap, and this is very hard track. You really need to focus on every lap, so it's not that boring that it looks. When you're driving, it's very, very, very consuming, at least.
I'm sure it is. And I do want to ask you here, obviously the new graphic update coming on. I love the Paulie special. Tell me a little bit about the new livery and how appreciative it is to be able to get some of the new paint here on the old girl.
Yeah, first of all, it looks amazing, really, really good. And thanks for the talk for making it. It looks very amazing. And as all you know, me and Jukka practice a lot together. So we are Jukka Pauli special. It's good. GPS.
I love it. Well, looking ahead here, we head to Fuji next time out. Another track that draft is going to be very, very dependent on. How do you like your chances there? How do you think the 79 is going to go? Will be my first time there, so I have really no idea how it drives there. But I have heard it's new and good track, so most likely I will like it, but need a lot of practice to keep up with Timo. He's very good right now, driving very fast. Well, I wish you all the luck on that practice for you and for next week. But as for today, anybody you'd like to thank for a P2?
Well, first of all, thanks for iRacing for making this new update for car. It looks amazing, really. And thanks to Jukka. And thanks to you guys also. Very good broadcast, as always. Thank you.
Thank you, Paulie. That was Pauli Partanen, your second place finisher here today, Joe.
That takes us to third place. Jukka Tolvanen joining us. And Jukka, it's the third Finn on a podium sweep of Finns. It's almost like being like the smallest giant. You're still head and shoulders above everybody else. Congratulations on that, sir.
Yeah, thanks, and congrats, Timo. Huge pace today. That was kind of expected. I knew that Timo has pace advantage of 10th or 2, so I just selected to take a setup with which I could hang in the draft and maybe have a chance. But the qualifying wasn't very good, and actually I was lucky as Andreas had maybe some problems joining the grid. I don't know, or did he just choose that? And then Mikko had a bad start. So, well, in the sense, also my setup was a little bit of waste as I took a little bit of wing off from it to be able to make passes, but I never passed anyone in the end. So then I was in trouble as my pure pace was a little bit slower than with the original community setup. So I just said during the race to Pauli that actually in the end the community setup I shared this week would have been the best for this race. It was, at least in my hands, it was the fastest around the track on one lap in clean air. So yeah.
Sometimes it's so hard to know until you get there and hindsight becomes 2020. However, speaking of which, have you had a chance to look at that start? Because you were about a foot away from getting involved in an almighty shunt.
Yeah, I didn't even realize it's in the live situation. Let's say I was concentrating to just make the corner with Mikko, but I saw in my mirror that something was happening, but I didn't realize it was that close to me. So I was I was shocked when I saw the replay from that. So yeah, that was a bit unfortunate and explains why nobody was really close to us after that. But yeah, it's Monza.
Yeah, you kind of have to expect it. We're watching it on the replay now just to get a view of just how close you were to the action. After this, though, we go to a track that isn't quite like Monza, but it does have a huge, long front stretch off to Fuji. Are you looking forward to that? Do you feel like that'll give you another chance to maybe hang on to the coattails of the faster drivers?
I hope so, at least. We raced Fuji also last season. Was it maybe the second to last race? And that was kind of my comeback from a longish vacation. I was not driving for a month or so. So it felt pretty good, but there's, of course, lots to improve still. And I'm sure Timo will be very fast also there, and Pauli as well. So yeah, we will have work to do.
Well, again, congratulations on helping make a Finnish sweep. Who helped you get up there?
Well, Pauli, of course, as our livery says, that was kind of my idea originally to invert the original John Player Special Lotus colors and rename it to Jukka Pauli Special with the same kind of abbreviation. So yeah, Pauli, thanks. And also Timo was racing with us and many other guys. Happy to see so much participation this week. And also thanks to Michael for everything he has done for the series, and actually also our livery based on our idea. So yeah, thanks everyone.
Great stuff. I didn't even think about that it's the actual negative of the gold and the black, the white and the dark blue. So that is fantastic. It's been fantastic racing and great interviews here at the end, but we have to say goodbye as we say thank you as well to the Lotus 79 community for bringing us back for another season of coverage. And also thanks to the team today, DJ, Ryan, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media, our website, and a merchandise store. And we've got links for those in the description below. But don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel while you're looking at that so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. The next race, as we mentioned, at Fuji, that's without the chicane as well. That'll be Sunday, September 25th at 10:30 a.m. Eastern. A different time, as we do have conflicts with the major series that morning. So we'll be making sure everybody gets to watch every moment of racing. Be sure to check out our other broadcasts, because up next, the Sunday Drivers' Cup will be going later this evening at Laguna Seca at 5 p.m. Eastern. Until next time, though, race clean, race hard. We'll see you at the track.